little update. So I am in Clear Air Force Station, Alaska. Yesterday afternoon. Haven't spoke to the people in a minute. Uh, first impressions. First impressions. Peace, calm. I am enjoying the extreme contrast of Alaska to DC. It is. It's hard to explain, but if I were to try to put it into words, there is no rush to do anything here. Um, it's peaceful. It's quiet. You go outside and you don't hear anything. You know, definitely enjoying that. What's good, Benjamin? Yeah, if you guys got any questions, hit me up. Um, Alaska is different. Never been this far north in my life. A lot of you guys know I grew up in Watertown, New York, Fort Drum, New York, about 30 miles from Canada, upstate New York. It's nothing like New York City. So it's very different in that way. Grew up driving in the snow, got my license in the snow, ice, things of that nature. It's interesting. Um, but what I anticipate these winters to be, I'm not sure I'm ready for it. It's already 55 degrees. I woke up today, this morning, it was 50 degrees. And that was interesting. Um, just being that it's summer everywhere else for the most part. And then you come to a place where this is summer. It's different. It's different. Greatly anticipating, the difference is, I'm only here for a year. Only here for a year. So um, I plan to take advantage, to see what happens. Who knows? Um, One of the things I planned on doing the day I got here, which of course yesterday, was to bring energy to every interaction, every conversation, you know, learning first names. You know, one thing that I'm greatly anticipating and a little nervous about is saying yes to every invitation I get. It'll be interesting. Saying yes to everything. Um, One thing I noticed in DC, working at Andrews and the Pentagon, is that you tend to be crippled by options. You have so many options, so many different restaurants, hiking spots, different bars and clubs, and what have you. Whatever your hobbies are, you have options to choose from. You know, Whereas here, you're limited mainly because the thing you thrive off here in environments like this, where you're surrounded by trees, you drive off base and there's nothing out there. There's no gas station, there's no Walmart, there's no McDonald's. It's surrounded by trees. So places like this thrive off people, relationships. It's who you know. A little sidebar. One of the greatest things I realized about out processing, especially during COVID, out processing, it's all about who you know. The value of the military, the value of getting anything accomplished is knowing people, because a lot of the processes that I struggle with in terms of COVID-19 and whatnot and trying to get in contact with certain organizations is I did not know a person in that organization I could have sent a text to. You know, you guys see me as, a YouTuber or, just a random person talking to a camera, but I'm also Air Force Finance. So you can literally send me a text if you have a question about finance. At least I can get you in touch with the right person, the right regulation. You know, that's the value of people, the value of the internet. So yeah, got here last night. Stopped at Fort Wainwright, Alaska. It's an army base. Went to their PX and got some things loaded up. It's 120 miles from where I'm at, um, Fairbanks, Alaska. It's the nearest city to where I'm at. There are a lot of little rinky-dink towns in between with like 7 people, 10 people. It's different. It's very different up here. Beautiful, beautiful. You look out the window. My window, I can see mountains. There's endless amounts of trees, and I haven't seen any wildlife yet. Although I do believe I saw a fake bear all the way over that direction. I plan to go investigate that. Um, I don't know. I've just never experienced something of this magnitude in terms of emptiness. If that even makes sense. It's empty. It's pretty dope though. It's pretty dope. Once again, I'm only here for a year. It's a short tour. I volunteered for this. I volunteered for Worldwide Volunteer, short term, extended long, or long. So essentially, the Air Force has needs, and I volunteered to go anywhere. So I put it on my wish list, and up popped Clear, Alaska. And it's a challenge. It's a challenge. It's a challenge to my personality. It's a challenge to who I am, how I engage with people. When you're in DC and there's people, thousands of people everywhere, you tend to go to your comfort zones. I'm gonna go to my corner. I'm gonna go play basketball. I'll hang with people that play sports and people that do music. People enjoy this area of politics or whatever philosophy. But here, and you're limited. There's 35 active duty people on this base. 35. 300 total military, which would be mostly guard reserve, and then the rest of civilians. A total of around 600 total people on this base. It forces you out of your comfort zone, or you can be miserable for a year. I'm not going to be miserable. I realize the things I struggle with in terms of how I engage with people and how I engage with certain environments. My deployment was eye opening in terms of I went into that thinking I don't need help. I can do this by myself. I have these goals that I plan on engaging in, but I don't need help. I'm good. I'm straight. And I struggled for a couple months. I struggled until I lowered my pride. I got rid of the pride and realized I need people. I need people. So that's my mindset coming to this. Just realizing the value of networking, the value of people, relationships. That's the plan. That's the plan. One thing I can definitely speak to is that my anxiety, the fear of missing out, the fear of regret. A lot of things have dropped off my radar in terms of how I feel currently. I don't feel rushed. I don't feel late. I don't feel like I'm missing something. When you live in a place like DC, you're surrounded by it. Everything is something. Everything is high alert. Everything is speed. Everything is fast. There's traffic. You're late for everything. It's always the rat race. It has its benefits. Those who have ambition thrive in those environments. Those who don't tend to drown. You know, or tend to be great followers and support. Personnel. But here, I feel like I can relax. I can think a little bit more deeper. There's less noise. Less noise. It's a good break. It's a good break. It's very similar to a deployment. Very similar. This location is just more off the map. It's instead of being desert hot, it's mountain cold. It's dope. It's different. Never thought in my wildest dreams I'll be living in Alaska. Never thought. 2020 has been full of foolishness. Full of foolishness. Well, more change. More change. It's the only thing that's constant is that change will happen, and that those who are ready for it, those who anticipate it, I'm willing to create it. I'm willing to create it. I can't run from it. Those who run from it are alarmed when it happens. They're unprepared. That their life runs off the cliff. That they change happens and it's complete disaster. One thing I value currently, something that I kind of my eyes have been open to it, is that my decision to be more of a essentialist, not so much minimalist, but just kind of purposeful with my purchases and the things I acquire in terms of couches and beds and dressers and all that. It's made my life so much easier when it comes to leaving and transitioning from environment to environment. You don't need so much stuff. I've honestly given away so much stuff and thrown stuff away, things I just don't need. Most of my belongings either fit my car or the couple suitcases I travel with. You don't need all that. Now, obviously, if you have a family and those who have full apartments and furnishings and whatnot, it's different. It's different. But you know, out processing, especially during COVID, you realize that I prefer convenience. I prefer to save time. I could have made so much money driving from DC to here, so much money, and yet I chose to fly because I value my time. I don't want to drive for 2 weeks. Anyway, Yeah, PCS complete here in Alaska. Dorm rooms are pretty decent. Dorm tour coming. I'll definitely do one of those. Um, Doing the research for the space, there wasn't hardly anything to make note of in terms of what to prepare for. If you watch my stories on Instagram or Snap, you'll see, kind of what the base has to offer. It's not a lot, but it's sufficient. There's a gym, 24 hours, done. I'm good. The DFAC, not the best. It's definitely no Keesler. It's definitely not no San Antonio, but it's sufficient. It'll do. We got Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi. I can upgrade my Wi-Fi if I choose to. Hopefully, this is not stuttering a ton. It's not going in and out. Um, but yeah, I'm in great anticipation uh, for the next year. I've met a lot of people that are plan on. Well, I'll be working with for the next year or so, and might be going hiking tomorrow morning. So we'll see. We'll see. Great opportunity. Great opportunity to just grow. To grow. I can't leave Alaska the same way I came. I can't. Um, you know, Another thing my pastor said right before I left, he was like, "I'm not leaving the coronavirus. I'm not leaving COVID-19. The quarantine lockdown. I'm not leaving. This opportunity tired. You should not be tired leaving COVID-19. A lot of people don't have the luxury of still getting paid or working from home. But those who did have the opportunity to continue working or to continue getting paid, but you're working from home or your own environment, you're at peace in a certain way or another. You should not leave it tired. I had my time to myself. I created my own schedule, so there's no way that I should not have had more options in terms of what I can fit into my day and my productivity. A lot of ways I may or may not have been more. A lot of you guys noticed the gap. I'm pretty sure most of you guys noticed the gap between videos. Um, that's what happens. That's what happens. Um, there's something about YouTube, and I haven't really touched on it. But YouTube, it goes in cycles, especially as a creator. Um, it goes in cycles. That there'll be times where you're so excited to hop on the camera and just pump out content and vlog and edit and the process and the subscribers are building and comments and likes and it's just it's its own rat race. It's like DC again. Everyone's trying to build a resume. I got this many subscribers, and at some point after you start making money on it, and I'm making money even not making videos. I've just made so many videos. There comes a time where it's it's the term diminishing returns essentially, where you're helping people still answer comments as you can, DMs and whatnot, but the subscriber count really doesn't affect you anymore. You're proud of it, you built this. It pretty much runs itself, but at some point you're just, I don't know. And something I thought about, especially during quarantine, is how valuable, or no, I'll rephrase, how much do we depend on the internet as opposed to depending on reality? It's kind of open-ended question, but if I were to put a point on it, I would emphasize this. What would happen? Who would suffer? Who would become irrelevant if there was no internet? Not to get too deep, but with every, I don't want to say every pandemic because they don't happen that often. But events like the ones we're in currently, where things are happening, things are changing. People are adjusting, people are panicking, if you will. If you're unprepared, a lot of things are happening, and you see what a lot of people are running to in terms of, what's stable right now. What can I rely on for income for me and my family? Well, a lot of YouTubers weren't affected. If anything, the revenue increased just due to the fact that a lot of people just have more time to give to the internet and to YouTube and to consuming. But the producers have to feed that. But what would happen if, you did not have electricity? Currently we're dealing with something that's biological in nature, you know, biological warfare, if you will, for conspiracy theorists out there. Um, but let's say we have a natural disaster and there's no internet. First of all, you don't know how to feel about it if there's no Twitter, there's no Instagram, there's no social media to tell you how to feel, because that's what we feed off of. More and more people saying the same thing over and over again. It's the same content, just repeated in different, there's different mediums, different versions. And so it's interesting. It's interesting that, we turn to the internet, obviously, in an age where the cell phone is the medium of most conversations. It's what we turn to. But what if there's no electricity? How would you react to a disaster where there was no electricity? I don't know. Just conjecture, speculation. But yeah, I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I'll say that. PCS complete. My car has been shipped. I drove it to Baltimore and dropped it off there. So it'll be here in roughly a month or so, hopefully sooner. So I'll have that. Um, yeah, I'm in my crib, got my own bathroom, so it's definitely a dorm upgrade. As opposed to last time I was just living in the dorms. We can't live off base because there's no houses. One interesting thing I looked up is the Airbnb situation in the area. There are plenty of Airbnb log cabins, which are interesting, very beautiful. I set the price a little higher because obviously, I prefer quality. But yeah, definitely be an interesting year. Once my car gets here, I'll be exploring. You'll see some different vlogs and hikes and definitely a ton of pictures. Follow me on Instagram, Snap. I'm always posting, always documenting. Just really want to pick the camera up, talk to the people a little bit. Been in action, missing in action, but uh, yeah, one day at a time. One day at a time. Progress, patience, learning, asking questions. Don't be in a rush. It's a long life. You know, so yeah, take your time. Take your time. Don't be pressuring yourself so much. Don't be in a hurry to be perfect at everything. Let's get some of these comments because I want to answer a couple things or at least provide some value. All right, so let's see what y'all talking about. Got my boy Benjamin saying some stuff. What are your life plans leaving or staying in for 20 years? Currently, 20 years is feeling more and more likely. Um, I'm here. I'm here. So might as well take advantage of the environment. I'm not saying I couldn't start over, but it's a lot. It's a lot to start over. So, you know, do I stay in the environment and maximize and take advantage? Or, do I jump ship and start over of sorts? So, it's interesting. It's interesting. It's not something you take lightly, but I enjoy this environment. I definitely enjoy, what the military offers, in terms of stability, but also in terms of the ability to take risk. Not so much the tendency, but you have the option. So, it's definitely something you want to think about. Let's see what else we got. Life plans. If you were an officer in the Air Force, what would you want to be? See, that's the interesting thing about officers is that it's not so much that you deal with AFSCs or certain jobs that you join the Air Force as an officer and then you enter a certain career field. It's more so that you lead people. At least that's what I've observed. There are some jobs like let's say the medical field or pilots or things that are so mainstream and publicly put out so much that are kind of romanticized as this is what an officer is. But in the most general sense, an officer just leads people. So you have a degree, and it may not have nothing to do with the career field you're working in currently, but you're leading people, and that's essentially what it is. So if I had to answer your question or to be more, direct, a pilot would probably be the most interesting thing because I love traveling, I love driving, I love operating vehicles. Probably a pilot. Probably a pilot. What else we got? Do you think military retirement is worth it? If I retire at 40, live until 150, I'll get 110 years of pension. All right, so I'll answer a more serious question in terms of is retirement more or is retirement reliable? I sent a text to a friend who's in the army. He recently retired at 20 years, retired at E7. And I asked him the question: Is it like are you comfortable, you know, with the money you're currently making? With his kids are grown, him and his wife, and obviously, where you live depends on the cost of living and how you're able to navigate with your retirement, your pension, essentially. And he said he's comfortable in the sense that if he sat in one place and lived modestly, you know, it wouldn't be too difficult. But obviously, we have a certain way of that we like to navigate our lives. Some people are very frugal and they don't need a lot, and that they just like to get somewhere and sit down. And then you got some people that want to travel and like the better things in life. So it really just depends on your decisions. Obviously, you have VA compensation and disability and things of that nature. So um, it really depends on your ambition and the way you want to live. Um, I don't know. I don't know. That's not a question I can answer now. From the finance side, the money's not. It's not bad. It just depends on the market you're living in. He lives in Texas, so obviously, he's probably a little more comfortable. How hard is it to become a general in the Air Force? I don't know. Never been officer, never been a general. You would have to ask a general. But if I were to speculate, because I like to speculate a little bit, how hard would it be to be a general? Well, time will be a major factor. You need to put the time in. You're looking at around 25, 30 years at least. Um, and then beyond that, obviously you need a degree to become officer. And then, yeah, just become competent at what you're doing, become responsible, have a great track record. That's what I would speculate will be required. Certain things that are intangible, things that are not found on a degree, or a certificate, if you will. A leader, great at decision making, accurate, precise, does not waver, does not falter under pressure. Things that I would think goes into it. Who knows? Who knows? Again, never been there. Haven't had an opportunity to even be in that position. I've spoken to many generals. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I'm getting better as just saying I don't know. Sometimes that's the answer. I don't know. What else we got? Shout out Mr. Mark Littles. Appreciate you. 4 more paychecks and I'll be retired. I see you. Congratulations. 17 more years. Thank you for wisdom. Shout out Cisco Kid. Much love. What else we got? Advice for 18-year-olds. Logan R. Advice for 18-year-olds. If I were 18 again, knowing what I know now, I'll definitely probably go officer. Only for the fact that some of the things I've learned in the past couple months, I've kind of reset my focus. And of course, there's so many videos that, obviously I'm kind of rambling because when you go in between videos for a certain amount of time and you're a thinker like I am and you like to output, you like to provide perspective, not answers, perspective. You hold it in too long, and when you do open the faucet again, the pressure just, that's some good imagery, isn't it? Advice for 18-year-olds. If I were to go back in time, become 18, but keep the same knowledge or wisdom I've acquired over time, I would definitely ask more questions. I will lean more heavily on my role models, my mentors, um, and not so much heavily, but more directly with my mentors, asking more direct questions, asking for guidance, for leadership, and taking advice. That's probably the biggest part of when you have a mentor, you have somebody that you're kind of following in life. Woe to those who ask questions and then decide at the end of the day, I'm going to do it my own way. There's nothing wrong with that in terms of if that's what you choose, by all means. But why did you ask the question in the first place? A lot of people will go to someone, sit for an hour, and just speculate back and forth. Just ask questions. Just talk, 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 talk. They even go to conversations. Some people will go and make speeches, and they're not. You should be asking questions. If somebody's where you want to be at, and you go there talking, no, you should be asking questions. Questions. A mentee asks questions. So as an 18-year-old, um, chill on the women. They come. They come. Um, Chill on the women. I was very late in life when I lost my virginity. Um, One thing you'll find out very quickly is that sex is sex. It does at some point start giving negative returns, meaning it never gets. It's not like it's kind of like drugs, where and I've never taken drugs, but from what I hear, it peaks, meaning there's only so much that you can do before you start just getting into deeper waters where you can't recover. Chill on the women. Chill. They come over time. Work. Work. As a man, you have to work. You have to work. It's the phase I'm in currently. I had a friend at Andrews, and he really called me on my shit. He really called me out. He was like, "Listen, I know the path you're on. I know the things that you say, the goals that you have. They're very lofty. They're far from average. Because we've had many conversations about the things I want, the things I'm going after. Um, they're not average. They're not normal." And then he called me out. He's like, "Listen, I don't see you making the moves towards what you say you want." You know, it was a real conversation. You know, real eye opening because at some point, we all get distracted, we all get tired, we all get complacent. We think, "Oh no, I'm doing the bare minimum. I'm okay." You know, he called me. He was like, "Listen, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, if that's what you want, if you want, you know, but expect average results." So yeah, if I was 18 again, put my head down and work. You know, pick something. Pick something. At 18 years old, you will be paralyzed by having endless options and never choosing something. You're going to end up with nothing. At some point, you have to pick the military, pick a trade school, pick college, pick something, and put your head down and work. You know, find out what you want early. You know, don't be distracted by things that are superficial. Stop looking at rappers. Stop looking at rappers. Whatever you admire, whatever you set as your role model, that's what you're going to end up as. And sadly, our community, the black community, the people we're looking up to have status symbols. We see logos, we see brand names, and ooh, that's expensive. So we equate that with success, which in its own way it is. But is that maintainable from your position? I would look at people and like, oh, gotta get me that Ferrari, bro. Level up heavy. Get this Mercedes. Start stunting on me. We stunt on these niggas real quick. But I don't like to even maintain. I don't like getting oil changes on a Chrysler. You know, don't be distracted. You're 18. You know, if you need to have sex, by all means, use wisdom. Use wisdom. It's my little spill. Victoria Yates, you made it. I don't know where you was going. You made something. Shout out to you. What you got? What you got? There's a lot of comments now. Goodness. Where was I at? Hope y'all doing well, man. Hope y'all living. All right, here we go. Video quality is great. That's a new one. Appreciate you. I'm not used to compliments of that nature. Any advice for people trying to get into IT? Well, for starters, let me say this. I am not in IT, so I would definitely look into channels, which I'm sure there are plenty of people who are in currently who are in IT, and ask them. That's my most humble answer to your question because I don't like to just speculate. Like there's some questions that are fun to speculate on, and that's just let's think about this and let's make up some scenarios. But for life decisions, for choosing a different path, probably ask someone who's in IT. That's my best answer. Interesting bit on diminishing returns. I'm listening. Anywho, are you able to travel on the weekends or like only in like X mile radius? I'm still in training, so no idea how the real Air Force is. Shout out to Michael Inman. So yes. When I was in DC, I had a 200. Well, first it was 50-mile radius, and then it was extended to 200-mile radius. Being in DC, that's a great number of options in DC because DC is right in the heart of a lot of things. So I can reach New York City, etc. So currently, where I'm at, I don't know that I have a radius, but if I were to have a radius, it would be a lot greater than 200 miles, mainly because the nearest town to where I'm at, or no, I'll say the nearest city is 120 miles away. So I don't have many options in that way. That I don't have a lot of options. So here, I believe we are able to take leave. We just have to get it approved, depending on where we're going. But I won't be taking a leave anytime soon, for obvious reasons. What else we got? Also, you're in tech school. Put your head down. Work. Put your head down. I came in late from Miss Victoria Yates, but I'm wondering if you are planning to pursue college. Leave me alone. I don't want to. I don't want to. I need to. I don't want to. I have no desire whatsoever. Um, One thing I've observed is that so many people have degrees and don't even work in the career field that they have degrees in. I came from DC where everyone's educated, everyone has, a piece of paper on the wall, and yet they don't even get to utilize it. You know, most people, it came with student loan debt. I like not having student loan bills. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. That's the best answer I can give you. I will say the responsible thing is to go to college. Um, I don't have any ambition towards college. I love learning, love reading, love you know getting knowledge. But college as an institution, as a business, I don't know. Do you know any IT guys in the Air Force? You might have to define IT. I know tech people. I know people working comms. I know people working cyber. I'm not sure what you mean by IT. Also, you should have a better way of defining it. You should be able to put a pretty good pinpoint on what you mean by, the IT field or the job you're trying to get. That's your burden of, you know, looking into it, researching, know what you want, and be specific. Can I get security forced job with an ASVAB score of 30? I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know. I don't remember. Definitely hit up a recruiter. Let me say this real quick. Let me say this real quick. I got a question this morning on IG, I believe. And it may have been YouTube comments. Either way, there was a question concerning a young man got his job listing from his recruiter. The recruiter told him list, 10 jobs, 10 jobs. He only saw one job on there he liked. And he asked me, you know, I don't like any of these jobs. I only want like maybe five, possibly. But he was told to list 10 jobs. And my response was simple. You're joining the military. This is not college. It's not a trade school. It's not high school. This is not the job market. This is the military. This is volunteer. Meaning there are a lot of sacrifices you must make. And if you want to join, which is, again, it's up to you. There's not currently a draft in place. So it's up to you. But be willing to accept the fact that this is volunteer. This is a sacrifice, that a lot of people don't have to make and don't want to make, but you're choosing to. So the options available to you are the options that you are currently gifted. You don't have leverage when you enter the military in terms of volunteering, or honestly, in the other case, because the military has what you need. You're coming for a job. So if they say, "Hey, we're going to offer you these jobs," and you say, "I don't want any of those," well, you don't have to take them. But those are your options. So keep that in mind when you join the military. It's a sacrifice. It's volunteer, but you also have to, deal with the hand that you are dealt and be grateful. Be grateful, and then play the game. Play the game. A lot of loopholes, a lot of ways to navigate properly. Wisdom is a great asset. Asking questions, networking, knowing, yeah. I've been through this in multiple videos. What is your job? Do you enjoy it? What job would you choose if you could? That's from Logan R. I am finance. My current job is a resource advisor. Uh, Same career field, finance. One's just budget. So I've recently been working in customer service, meal pay, and now I'm moving over to budget where I'll just be managing funds for the base. And so, yeah, do I enjoy it? No, no. It's necessary. It's necessary. It's a bridge. One of my goals is to cross train while I'm here. Jobs I could choose. To answer your last question, what job would I choose if I could? Something flying, something traveling, something related to flight attendant, load master. Probably load master, number one job I would take. Load master. Ha. Hmm. Or in-flight refueler, something to that effect. Um, Jobs 1A, 1A, in terms of AFSCs. Do you plan to switch jobs and what job of the finance? Just covered that. Yeah, we got a lot of people commenting. I hate how this just skips when it like I'm navigating this. I am relisting at 31. I was honorably discharged from the Army as an E4. Have you ever witnessed an E4 enlist into the Air Force? I've seen a lot of transfers, people coming from different branches or coming from, reserves or guard. Um, Honestly, I don't have a ton of context on those who are discharged and then re-enlist, into a different branch. I would not know, honestly. Um, I do deal with, when it comes to accessions, people coming into the Air Force or coming onto active duty. I deal with the finance side of that. But when it comes to just enlisting into a different force, honestly, I don't know. Don't know. A lot of Air Force channels, a lot of military channels in general. Um, I'm sure somebody's gone through it. I'm sure someone has. Um, Devin Smalls asks, give insight on the importance of airmanship. It's a very vague question. Very vague question. So I'm not sure how to answer that. All right, let's try this one. Let's say theoretically I have no chance of getting into the military because of medical. Are there any related jobs you could? What other? What have others done after failing MEPS? Think about this. Think about this. Here's the issue with MEPS. Um, One thing I tend to harp on when it comes to the mindset of failing something, because again, I had the same worry when I went to MEPS. I had the same concerns. You know, I was so afraid of being discharged or failing the duck walk or something like that. Um, in hindsight, as I currently sit, staff sergeant, in hindsight, it wasn't that big of a deal. And if I were to be honest with you, it's not something to even lose sleep over. Um, Now, obviously, in this current time where people are nervous, people are, unsettled, you may not have, financial stability right now. Uh, the military looks like a paradise. It looks like, a savior of sorts. Well, it's not. It's not. It does offer a ton of different, entitlements, a ton of different benefits that you can, leverage and would benefit you. Those who, are struggling currently would see refuge in the military, but it ends at some point, and even then, you don't have 100% security because laws could happen. They could cut the force down in half. They could just, all right, we're cutting the force down to, everybody under 6 foot and, discharge everyone else, severance or whatever. So, when it comes to failing MEPS, if you think you're going to fail, reroute, reroute. Um, there are many options out there in terms of the world. When I think about what people get paid for nowadays, it's absolutely amazing the things that you could get paid for. Now, obviously during COVID, a lot of things have been, chopped. A lot of people are turning towards internet businesses, and even those at any moment could be chopped. Who knows? This world is so. I didn't want to talk about this in this video, but I'll go ahead and mention part of it. Spoke to my father before I left DC. He lives about an hour away, and something he said stayed with me heavily when he said, "I need to live courageously, more courageously," meaning he sees me talk about risk. He watches my channel. He sees me talking about risk and telling other people to take risk, and there's that part of it where I mentioned how fear is irrational and fear is something that you don't want to build on top of. Building a house on a faulty foundation. I'm afraid of doing something, but there's a certain amount of fear that plays into being courageous, meaning I know what danger is, and that's really what I make the separation between danger and fear, and that you want to turn towards acknowledging the danger, but then going forth and doing it anyway, in certain contexts. So when it comes to, the military, it's quite safe if you think about it. On its lowest level, financial level, it's very safe because it's contract based. So you come in, you sign a contract, and for the most part, you have a guaranteed check for a certain amount of time. Well, the thing about security is that it lulls you to sleep. It lulls you to sleep. Um, when you wake back up, however many years later, you realize that you lost certain skills that you once had. Civilian world, it makes you deal with the lack of security, because some jobs have contracts, and some jobs have certain clauses or whatnot, but most jobs can fire you today, tomorrow, with no notice. You're done. Whereas the military, you tend to know when you're going to leave, to the day for the most part, when this job ends. So you can either take risk or you can fall asleep. You can put it on cruise control. So that all being said, if you fail MEPS, you know, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's not. You ask a lot of people in the military whether they like it or not. A lot of people, you get so many different answers. I like the military. It sucks. Worst decision I ever made. Best decision I ever made. Who knows? Who knows? But a lot of people who are successful, most of the world is successful and they're not in the military. Most of the world. Most of the world is not in the military and are successful. Most of them. So don't put so much emphasis on getting into the military. If you get in, take advantage of it. Take advantage of it. If you don't, reroute. If you're 20 years old, 25 years old, you still got the rest of your life. You got the rest of your life. So get back on the horse. That was a long answer to say nothing, essentially. What else we got? To clarify my question, I'd like you to provide the crowd with the importance of learning their jobs once they enter operational operations or operational ops. All right. Well, from my perspective, I would say this. It's something from Mike Murdoch, something I live by. You don't qualify for more until you have excelled at where you currently are. It's something that keeps me accountable, more or less, where I currently sit. Um, Andrews Air Force Base, the Pentagon, they were my first duty station. Very high tempo, high visibility, you know, the main stage, if you will. DC, the center of power. Well, that's where I learned my job, was to deal with, you know, the center of everything. Some would say it's a very bad place to learn, but I would say it's probably the best place to learn because you're under high pressure, high tempo. You don't have a lot of time to take your time doing things. You know, it's just now or never. It's like being thrown into a pool. You have to learn in that moment or you drown. A lot of people keep saying swimming is a sport. It's not. It's an ability. Because if you can't play the sport, your sport, you die. Name another sport where if you can't do it, you die. That's a whole nother thing. So the points of learning your job. That's really your only option, honestly. That's really your only option. One of my things, pet peeves with those who are on the main stage, those who are loud with what they say, people that don't know what they're doing, but then have the nerve to like throw Christianity as their label, or this is the flag I'm flying, but you're not good at what you do. Tim Tebow is probably one of the, that's a whole other thing. Be good at what you do. You'll be known by your first impressions, your reputation, and your lasting impression. All networking is based on the value you can provide someone else. All networking, all relationships are based on the value that you provide to someone else. Society doesn't view you as who you are, they value you as what you are, you know, especially as men, you know. Some would say that men are not judged based on beauty. I would be inclined to agree. They look at you and they want to know what you are, what's your resume, what have you accomplished, what do you do. That's why I put so much effort into my mind because my body's gonna fail one day, but I need my mind to stay sharp. And if my mind's sharp, everything else follows, including my body. One of the worst things you can do is show up to work and be one of those people who are unreliable, who are sitting in the corner, who are taking up a desk, who have to always have someone paired with them. It's the worst place to be in a squadron is to be the little brother, little sister. Someone go with him to do that. Somebody check up on him, check up on her, double check their work. You know, one thing I love about my supervisor, shout out Sergeant Allen. She was a stickler for details, a stickler for double checking, a stickler for auditing. Before we send this up to the center to get paid, let me look at it. And she always knew if something went up, it was right because she checked it. She was good at her job. She's good at her job. I put her directly in charge of my finances before I left. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna hit you up before I leave, make sure my money right. Have a reputation for being good at what you do because that's what people think of when they hear your name. When you go to try to build a relationship with someone, if I have a general on my desk, a colonel on my desk, I need them to know that when I hit them up a month from now, that month before I did my job the first time. Hence why they would even want to interact with me is that the value I provided first was quality. And then later on, if I have to ask, if I want to ask, I have something to lean on. little little nugget. What else we got? A lot of y'all in here. Goodness. All right. What's up, Ray? Taylor Broad was good. What's up, Ray? I've graduated last year, kind of been in a rut. I've been currently studying for the AFQT to become an officer. Being disciplined with that has been a challenge for sure. That's a requirement. It's a requirement. My goal for 2020 was discipline. Still is. Has not changed. Just came from the gym. Discipline. That's the difference between you and everybody else, and me and you, and those who win, those who lose, is the discipline. NBA is coming back. We're gonna see who's disciplined. We're gonna see who's walking up and down the court. You know, something we all struggle with it. That's the difference. We all struggle with the same things for the most part, whether it be cigarettes or alcohol or junk food or too much sugar, too much of something. We all have our struggles, and so obviously no one should be looking next door and oh, you struggle with this. Why are you struggling with that? No, no. We have enough to focus on ourselves. Some of the biggest issues we deal with in today's society is because individuals, me and you, have failed to take accountability with ourselves first. We are so busy pointing at something else when we have enough to point at. Start home. Start home. If you fix your home, if everyone fixed their own home, society looks beautiful. Discipline. Work in progress, preaching to the choir. We're all working on it. We're all doing it. Thank you for the insight. And yes, I'll start studying again tomorrow, sir. Don't you dare call me sir. Going off of your love for learning, can you shed light on how you became so dang eloquent? It's a skill I'm working on. Uh, Eloquent's not the word. Um, Read books. Read books. One thing I've noticed is that my articulation. First of all, I don't see myself as a finished product. I don't think anybody does, honestly. But if I were to be honest, um, I listen a lot. I listen a lot. I listen to podcasts. I listen to books. Audiobooks are always articulate. You've never heard an audiobook with a ton of sneezing and coughing and stuttering because they can't be that way. That they're selling a product that I will listen to. So by me listening to audiobooks, it basically presents the perfect version of speaking. And written words are always concentrated information because someone took the time to write them. So there's always more thought and intent placed into writing. So you listen to books, you tend to hear the perfect version of speaking. Well, it's something that I do a lot of. I do a lot of audiobooks, a lot of YouTube podcasts and whatnot. And, over time, whatever you listen to, whatever you consume, you become. So think about the fact that if someone listens to nothing but, ATL rap, you're probably going to end up talking like that. So it's just something to think about. Whatever you're consuming, you're going to become that. So consume the right things. That goes same for food. Preaching to the choir again. Got my chicken breast right here. What else we got? What was my ASVAB score? 89. How old are you and do you want to get married? I am 27. And yes, I want to get married. I don't understand a lot of things about the institution of marriage, but I study it. I study it. Um, it's probably the biggest question I'm addressing in my life right now is marriage. That's a whole other video. But one thing I will say about marriage is that I've changed my thought process about marriage, and I've changed the question I've asked. Previously, the question I was asking is, "What's wrong with marriage? Why are marriages? How can I avoid the pitfalls of marriage? Why do marriages fail? Why are divorces happening?" I was asking the wrong question, so I flipped it. I flipped it because I have too much info on why marriages fail now. Too much information. So I flipped the question into this: How can I make marriage work? Why do marriages work? How do the successful marriages, survive? What are the successful people that are married doing? What are the common practice of a successful marriage? Flip the question on its head, essentially, which means you get different answers. You get a different perspective of marriage. Neither stat is wrong in terms of successful marriage and the things they're doing, the practices they have, versus the stats of failed marriages and things that didn't work. You combine them. You combine them. When do I want to get married? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Did you fail depth perception because you can't be a load master? I did fail depth perception the first time. I passed it the second time, which tells me something is wrong in the process. um, what else we got? YouTube needs to stop jumping. How long on station did it take until you PCS from your last base? I was on Andrews for 3 years, give or take. Um, so yeah, it varies. It varies. I got a deployment in a year and some change. So yeah, it just varies from person to person. Um, your leadership and certain decisions at play, certain processes, working behind closed doors. It's a lottery pick in a lot of ways. But it's up to you. It's up to control the variables that you have control of. Um, so yeah, probably the biggest thing is just don't get paperwork. Don't get paperwork. Don't constantly be on the wrong end of conversations. Why can't we trust this individual? What is currently wrong? Why is this always something with him, her? Don't be a problem. Be an asset. Be an asset. I'd like to let you know that I enjoy hearing your POV, point of view. Indirectly, you've helped me look at better ways to guide my troops forward. Hey, appreciate you. Appreciate you, Smalls. Um, I'm a student. I'm a student. Just love learning. I hate failing at things. I hate being wrong. I have a fear of being wrong. I hate ignorance. Um, So you just ask questions, which of course the right question starts with a goal. So I'm applying to be an officer soon. Becoming fit to prepare for the PT requirements has definitely been a struggle of mine. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Make sure you're actually struggling. During preparation, you should be struggling. So as long as you're struggling, as long as you're out of breath, you're throwing up, you know, I'm not saying you should be dying. I'm not saying you should be bleeding out your nose and no, but there should be a level of struggle. Something should be, you should be sore. You shouldn't be in pain, so much, but you should be sore. You should be, working towards progression. So, if you struggle at running, that means you have to run. And you have to keep running until it does not hurt anymore, until you can do it effortlessly, until you can talk while you're running. Keep struggling. Keep doing it. Make sure your diet's on 10. That's probably the biggest setback in terms of progression, even in my own self, is the diet, because the diet is all day versus the 2 hours in the gym, the hour or so that you're out running, riding a bike, whatever. The diet is all day, and one meal can set you back. So keep that in mind, that discipline has to be a lifestyle, and the people around you can easily be a detriment to you. So make sure you're surrounding yourself with you know a group of people going in a similar direction, so you can lean on them when you struggle. What else we got? I saw you about basic graduation, but didn't get a chance to meet you personally. Just hit my year mark, and it's been great. Thanks for the videos and inspiration. Chandler, appreciate you, man. I got a couple messages like that, even on Andrews, where people say they saw me and didn't say it was good. Shame on you. You hear me? Shame on you. There's nothing. One thing I love about YouTube, there's nothing more dope than have someone walk up to you and say, "You helped me, overcome this, or help me through this process or whatnot." There's no better feeling. Giving is probably the most selfish thing you can do, in terms of it does so much more for you than it does for the other person. Me making a video is effortless for the most part. Talking for an hour is therapeutic. I'm getting a lot of things off my chest, things that are happening in my own life. I'm just talking essentially. But if anybody can get value from this and it helps the trajectory of their life, amazing, amazing. I'm studying for my AFOQT with a bachelor in architecture. Any advice? I have none. I have none. I have none. Mr. Griffin, Carl, I have no advice. Laughter and happiness is key to marriage. Thank you. Bathsheba McGrew. Thank you. That's me learning. I have nothing to say back. I always said I'd never want to get married. Then the universe sent me 7 amazing women with marriages from newly engaged to 35 years. Paradigm shifted, and now I speak differently. I say I am worthy. Why are you talking heavy? Higher 3B. That's facts. That's facts. I got a request for somebody. I made a video on Red Pill. I made one video on Red Pill. Um, and obviously, if you're awake in today's social media, or the YouTube, there's various different environments that you can navigate. But someone asked me to make a video on MGTOW, and men going their own way, and pretty much giving up on marriage and women. And it's a whole thing. It's a weird environment, honestly. But you can almost get caught up in things like that, where your entire world is negative. It's woe is me. This can't work. It won't work. I'm afraid. Fear is helping me navigate. Fear tells me not to do this. Fear tells me you can't, that this won't work. And it's very easy to drown in that, to where you lose track of, wait, I actually want that though. And not everyone is failing. We get so caught up in the 50% of things that fail that we forget there's 50% people that are being successful. Now, how long they're being successful and how they're measuring success, who knows? But like you said, like the previous comment, you know, there are a lot of people who are successful at what they're doing, and they don't get a lot of shine. You know, the news does not run all the happy cats and dogs and beauty of the world. The main headlines are the negativity. This failed. This dam broke. There's a flood. There's a fire. There's a murder. There's this. That's what they get paid the most for, is the negative. So yeah, it takes effort to go upstream, to go against the current. It takes effort. It's the same for things that even personally with my parents' marriage failing and other marriages around me failing. It's so easy to get caught up in that. And I'm not saying to ignore it. I'm saying keep everything categorized properly. Stay grounded. Stay grounded. I'm not gonna fall in the current of anything or any direction. I'm not gonna get caught up in the negative. I'm not gonna get caught up in the positive. I'm gonna stay in the present. It's a challenge. That is the challenge. What else we got? How much is the chance of dying in the Air Force? Gavin Tube, that's a very interesting question. I would say it's very low. Not impossible. Not impossible. Not improbable. But it depends on your job, depends on where you're at. It depends on the current climate of government and politics and you know the global space, the global climate. Um, if you ask the same question during World War II, you would get a different answer. You ask it now, who knows? Um, Again, that's part of the conversation of getting caught up in the negative. There are more people alive that are currently in the Air Force than people who are dying. So obviously, that's not I guess the perfect answer to your question in terms of, or nobody died today, so nobody dies. That's not it. The point is, uh, I believe you can come up with a better question. Nothing wrong with your question, but you could come up with a better question than that, and that's your homework assignment, is to find a better question than that one. How many bases altogether? Don't know. Google it. Medical. I love joining the military, but I have a medical condition. Try, try, try. Don't live your life, wishing you tried. Try it. If you fail, pick something else. If I would have failed the military, I would have picked something else. If I would list you my jobs, you will see no trajectory towards the military. You would just be like, how'd you end up in the military based on your previous jobs? Trying something else. Try something else. If you could do it all over again, would you pick the Air Force or Navy? Air Force. Air Force. You would not catch me on nobody's boat sharing a bathroom and bunks and no, no, no. Can't swim. Don't swim. I don't belong in water. Mm-mm. I still enjoy and support your grind, sir. Appreciate you, Griffin. Appreciate you. Wise. Brother, you got a gift. God bless. Appreciate you, Alex. Much love. Makari? I'm gonna jack that up. What time is it there? It is 8:13 p.m. 8:13 p.m. in Clear Air Force Station, Alaska. Can I get the Air Force with 36? I'm pretty sure yes. Yes. I would say retake that as of, unless you want. All right. That's advice from a fellow person. All right, that's enough. That's enough. So yeah, hour. This is one of the longest lives I've ever done. Um, what can I say? What can I say? I'll leave you with this. I will leave you with this. First, we will consume liquid refreshment. It's honestly my first Q&A. I don't think I've ever done one of this sort, this length. Um, Are you familiar with astrology and or spirituality in the Air Force? Not with astrology. I kind of get irritated with the very vague. He's a Virgo, so that means he's gonna like food and air and water, and he's gonna get angry at things that make him angry, and he's gonna be sad at things that make him sad, and then he's gonna go to sleep. When he sleep, like, all right, thank you. Astrology is interesting. I haven't dove into it head first, nor do I plan to, because I believe enough people are into that, and I look at the results. I don't know. I don't know. Spirituality, yes. Spirituality, yes. There are a lot of silver linings that speak to something beyond material, such as your mind. The fact that you're watching this with your mind, not with your body. I'm speaking directly from a camera to your mind. We've never touched, never hugged, never shake hands. I'm going straight from my mind to your mind. Through the internet, mind you, through a medium that is immaterial. A lot of hardware, but the fact that the actual medium is immaterial speaks to a lot of things in this universe that could be, you know, immaterial, spiritual, if you will, supernatural, if you will. That's a journey that you must embark on your own accord. You must do that yourself. Go in pursuit of certain things that kind of defy the laws of nature. You know, I plan on joining the Air Force in 2021. Do you think it's a good idea? Yes, it's a good idea. It's not a bad idea. It's not the worst. I'm 27 and hope to join the Air Force soon. I'm in Arizona and we are in lockdown again due to COVID. So I've been waiting and studying, but I hope to speak to a recruiter soon. Glad to have found your videos. Appreciate you, Chloe Brown. That's love. Keep trying. Keep trying. Keep trying. The difference between you and someone else is effort, direction. I went to tech school with this stellar airman. He ate an unprecedented amount of popcorn in class. Who is this talking trash, bruh? We snitching on the worldwide internet in broad daylight? Is that what we do? I'm trying to think who you are, because I know who you are. I see your face. Bruh, watch your mouth. First base is Kadena. Heard anything about the air base? I think I know people there at Kadena. Never been there. Seen some snaps, a couple Instagram stories or whatnot. Never been there myself. One thing I enjoy doing, little sidebar, one thing I enjoy doing is bringing light to bases that have almost no internet presence. My research for Clear Air Force Station, Alaska, was ended abruptly just simply by the lack of people documenting. There wasn't a lot of pictures, a lot of anything for that matter. I will be one of the first people to vlog this base in this area, Fairbanks. Putting this place on the map. Honestly, has a lot of resources, a lot more than I thought it would have. A full size gym, full size weight room, and all the amenities you can think of as a defect. It's quality. It's quality. The dorms are high quality, quality dorms. Central air and heat. So yeah, yeah, a lot of places, you would hope that they have people there documenting and taking pictures and properly hashing just so you can go research your, later in the day. But through YouTube, I hope to bring light to a process like that, to a place like this. So the next person that comes behind me, they will be able to see, what they're coming into, and they can prepare. The BX here, there's no commissary, there's no gas station, like a conventional gas station. There's no, town outside this base. So just things like that where you're kind of coming into it blind, kind of like my deployment where you don't know. You don't know. There's only a certain amount of resources. That's the power of the internet, and that those who go before us and those who utilize the internet properly can provide a value that was never existed before. And I hope to be a part of that. What else we got? Put a Hanscom in Massachusetts on the map. Somebody need to go there. I don't plan on going to Massachusetts. I don't want to go up there. Is it hard to be a pilot in the Air Force? I would definitely ask a pilot that. Yeah. What top 2 jobs would you choose in the Air Force? Your personal opinion. Loadmaster and probably a flight attendant. In my personal opinion, obviously I've never done them before, but from what I see, from what I have observed, I would hope, I would hope they look dope. Loadmaster is responsible for load and keeping the plane balanced with what it's carrying. So obviously, let's say you're putting a tank in there and putting some trash bags. You want to center the tank, you know, just so you know when you take off, you're not flying sideways, obviously. So yeah, loading the plane, balancing the plane, loading people, you know, the glorified flight attendant essentially. Swore in, anticipating what jobs are available. Congratulations. Hard tech school, interesting. Interesting. I follow several YouTubers who have documented their process in the Loadmaster pipeline. Um, interesting. Interesting. Not sure how much longer I'm gonna stay on here. Maybe another 10 minutes or so. Yes, they have flight attendants. I know several of them. Certain bases have them. It's not everywhere. Flight attendants do exactly what you think they do. They cook. They serve. The guests that are currently on the plane. So it's just something. It's interesting. It's a lot of jobs in the military are jobs that will be found in the civilian world, mainly because we're doing pretty much the same job, just for a different purpose, different place. 3 actionable things for airmen to do to address racial reconciliation in the Air Force. How does Chief Wright want us to take on the issue? Interesting question. Interesting question. Shout out Joe Munar. Appreciate you, man. Racial reconciliation. Like I said previously, um, society is not a person. Society is not a group of people. Society is made up of individuals. Society is not a thing. It's a concept. It's a thought process. It's it's probably the biggest fallacy. It's the biggest crime against personification. Um, Society is what we call people, individuals. The first thing we must do when addressing, let's say, race, I guess to address your question directly, um, is deal with ourselves first. No one wants to do that. No one wants to address home first. Everybody wants to immediately point the finger. Someone did this to me. Someone offended me. Someone called me this. Somebody, didn't recognize me. Somebody mistreated me. You may be right, but you can't change that. There's no amount of faith that can allow you to control someone else's actions. That's probably one of my biggest issues with marriage. It's a completely different conversation. There's no amount of faith that can allow you to change someone else's actions, to control someone else's actions. All you have is your own actions. What you do, what time you get up, what you do while you're awake, what time you go to bed. That's all you can control. I made a video on entitlement, my last video, entitlement. We enter certain relationships, we enter interactions, and the first thing we do is ask for things. Just hand out. Give me stuff. Air Force, give me stuff. Workforce, please pay me lots of money. And then we wonder why we end up with nothing in return or less than what we thought we were going to get. We enter relationships, we enter friendships, we enter the workplace, and we want, hey, treat me a certain way. Hey, acknowledge me, please. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Um, I've dealt with what I perceive to be racism. I don't think it's too subjective in nature. I've definitely dealt with it. I've dealt with uh, other people's insecurity. I acknowledge that there's a level of truth in stereotypes, a measure of truth. You know, I realize that danger is a thing. I realize that life and death is not subjective. And I do realize that people do make decisions from a place of fear. However, once again, if I'm controlling me and I realize first that this world is dangerous and that to live is a result, to breathe is a result, to wake up tomorrow is not an entitlement, but a result. It's a gift. And so when I leave my room, when I leave my safe space, if you will, and I go out into the real world, there are dangers that are there. Someone died for you to have a cell phone. Realize that. All these different safety laws and speed limit signs and warning signs and what have you are usually a result of someone dying. So realize this is a very dangerous world. It takes work to stay alive in this world. Notice that water costs money, electricity, food. Thankfully, air is free. Thank goodness they haven't taxed it yet. So when it comes to racism, there are certain realities, just like bears in Alaska. You won't catch me out there just by myself taking strolls, through the wilderness. I'm gonna be out there, but I'm gonna be out there with people that run slower than me. I'm not with the games. You hear me? When I make certain moves, yeah. When I go to certain neighborhoods, I realize how I look. I realize that someone may perceive me to be dangerous. I can only change that so much before you go to the wild and a bear perceives you to be a deer, perceives you to be food. I go in the water and I'm surprised that sharks or I'm surprised. Why are we still surprised by human nature? That blows my mind. We'll go on Twitter, we'll go on Instagram, we'll go on all these different websites, and we'll see. You'll watch a crazy violent movie, a crazy violent video game, and then we'll go out in the real world and be surprised that people actually live some of this stuff out. Criminal Minds, a lot of people just watch Criminal Minds, just SVU. We'll run through all these different types of shows, and we'll forget that this is not just imagination. This is a lot of people's reality. You know? So, how do we deal with racism, workplace, and the Air Force around people that are different than us? Why are we afraid of people that are different? America suffers from, I believe I addressed this in my last video. America suffers from both the benefits and the negatives of diversity. Both. Nature is both beautiful and dangerous. I can't have one without the other. Notice I haven't made a judgment about how people treat each other. I've not made a judgment. I'm acknowledging the reality of it. The fact that this is just what it is. And to change it takes me starting with me. It's a beautiful concept if you think about it. When I think about nature, when I think about how beautiful is the mountains and the trees and the animals, and it's beautiful. But the second I go out there, I'm taking a gun. I'm taking bear spray. I'm taking precaution. I'm taking people with me. Accountability. I'm taking a GPS device, a compass, a jacket, a life jacket, tools for survival. because as beautiful as it is, it's still dangerous. That's how this world is. That's how people are. You can acknowledge the beauty of diversity, and how when we go to the Olympics, we have all these different backgrounds and ethnicities and nationalities, and all these different people from around the world have gone to celebrate humanity essentially. But we forget that with all the positives, there has to be a negative. With all the talks of love and romanticism and seduction and intimacy, and it's beautiful. But then there's divorce, and there's betrayal, there's miscarriage, there's newborn babies, there's hugs, and there's backstabbing. Why do we want the best without the worst when they complement each other? I didn't make the rules. It's not up to me. I didn't come up with this, that we have beauty and we have ugly. But we need both. How would you recognize one with the other? We all want relationships, but we don't want to be alone. How would you know if there was no contrast? I don't know how beautiful and peaceful Alaska is without coming from DC. You have to learn to appreciate both. Now, when it comes to racism, I'm not saying appreciate racism. I'm saying acknowledge the reality of it, acknowledge the limitations of what it is, the law of morality, and that, in a world where we like to live by subjective morals, and I get to make rules for myself, you get to make rules for yourself, and they get to make rules for themselves. And then once we crossing lines, and your morality crosses over my line of morality, a question should arise there. Is there an absolute for morality? But we don't ask those questions. So racism is real. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. The only thing I can do about racism in my own power is control me. I can't control your thoughts about me. I can't control the way you were raised. I can't control the way you see me, the way you perceive me. I can't control, the fears you may have, concerning the way I'm dressed. I can't control the way you see how tall I am, how big I am, the color I'm wearing. But if I were to take responsibility and accountability for myself, I will realize that there's certain things about this world I live in that are out of my control, like maybe another person or the bear in the woods, and that they have a certain nature. They have, a certain way that they navigate this world. I can't change that, but I control me. And that's where the conversation should start. That's where the conversation can start. We can protest, and we can definitely bring awareness. Black people have mastered awareness. We have mastered how to get eyes on this topic. We've mastered that. But change starts with home. Always. Starts with home. There's a measure of accountability. And again, I'm speaking to accountability for everyone and themselves. Meaning, if everyone in society, every individual that makes up society, takes accountability for themselves, what would this world look like? It would be beautiful. If everyone took accountability for themselves, this world would be immaculate, spotless. But we don't need one person not to do that. And it all unravels. Kind of like the mask thing. Kind of like the mask thing. Like the second one person takes the mask off, we're still good. We're still good. But if one more person does it, if two people have the mask off, we all suffer. We all suffer. So that's my little spill. It's unfortunate, it's unfortunate, but it comes with the territory. My admiration for people who are in love is because I've known loneliness. I've known what it is to go without, to lose a loved one, to lose, a relationship with someone I cared about. I have contrast, so I know the value of having. And so when someone accepts me in spite of my color, I just have more. I have more gratitude towards them. I have more gratitude towards them. It's about having gratitude. Not expecting everyone to be perfect. We're so quick to point the finger. Hey, you should have did this perfectly towards me. Start home. Start home. The problems in society can't be fixed by you pointing the finger. They won't be fixed. They will not be fixed. Chief Rights Human. Keep that in mind. I know we do put people on pedestals and whatnot, but keep that in mind. He's going to retire. You know, life goes on. Can you pick to get stationed near your family in the Air Force? You can hope. You can hope. Unless you're Guard Reserve, you can hope. Yes, the first step in reconciliation is for everyone, every participant to admit the role they played. Here's a thought. Here's a thought. In every debate, and especially as of late, uh, one of the best, process or the best way to engage in a debate is to start off the debate with one person asserting what the other person is asserting. So, for example, if I was to debate you, I would start by starting with your point of view and attempting to explain your point of view and your argument. And for you to help me get on the same page as far as what you're trying to say. I've not brought my argument to the table yet. My assertion is invalid for right now. I'm starting off with explaining your position. And then once I'm able to explain your position, then we move on to my position. You would debate and try to argue my point of view as me. And I will help you get on the same page as what I'm talking about. And by doing this, we have a clean slate. We have a great position to start with in terms of I understand what you're saying, and you understand what I'm saying. There's no disconnect there. So now we can go forth with arguing our different points of view, and at least we can start on a similar path as close as possible, although we disagree or we may have opposing views. What if we try that with racism, where I start from your point of view? I try to explain your concerns, your disconnects, your perceptions, and then you do the same with me. Maybe the conversation would flow a little bit easier instead of people just throwing rocks. You did this to me. No, you did this to me. We're not going to get anywhere. And I'll just say this. It's not going away. Racism, evil, death, pain, betrayal, it's not going away. It's only going to get worse. Why is that? Because all these things I just listed, they are results. They are the results. They aren't the problem. They are the results. All right, I'm done. I'm done. Have a good night. Hour and 30 minutes. This has been interesting. Very therapeutic for me to get a lot of things off my chest, but hope I brought some form of value to you. Maybe just a thought, maybe a different change in perspective, maybe a different question to ask. I don't know. I don't know. Hopefully you got something from this that you can at least take to bed with you, sleep on it, share with a friend. I don't know. I don't know. But thank you for watching. Thank you. Thank you for the words of encouragement, those who have commented anything positive, anything negative, anything constructive. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. Y'all have a good night. Y'all have a good night. Let's see if we can get back let's see if we can get back in this bag of creating content. So I'll see y'all next video.